All right, man, welcome back. Welcome back to the Universal Thought Podcast, where we share universal thoughts, ideas, concepts, philosophies, and all around good conversations, man. And today, we got a real special guest. Real special guest. Now, let me tell you something. This actually is a class, man. We went to school together. He's a few years, he was 01, right? 01, okay. He came out a year ahead of me. We knew each other in high school. You know, we had different, you know, everybody got their little clique or whatever, who they came into school with. They had theirs, we had ours, but we always seen each other in pass and spoke. And as life goes on, man, you connect with people that, you know, you see us doing good in life. You know, you see us making strides in life. And at some point, you know, you draw a connection with them. And I've been seeing them from time to time on social media. And I said, man, Justin would be perfect for the podcast. And I really wanted to get his story. I seen what he's been doing. I'm talking about from motivational speaking to going into the schools, talking to kids and stuff like that. So that's really something that I wanted to highlight. He's gonna tell his story today on how at I think it was 10 years old? 10 years old, he was doused with was it ethanol?
Not gas.
Okay.
Gasoline.
So he was doused with gasoline. He went through several, I think it was over 50 surgeries, you know, and I really wanted to capture his story today. So we're gonna dive deep into his life. I actually, to be honest with you, as I was reading your biography and I was reading things about, you know, what happened, I shedded a tear, just put it like that. I shedded a tear because I couldn't imagine nobody going through something like that, you know, as far as what you went through, man.
Right.
So I wanna go ahead and introduce Mr. Justin Brazil, man.
Nice to meet you.
How you doing, man?
Solid.
Already, man.
Yeah, most definitely.
First of all, welcome to the Universal Thought Podcast, man. It's been a minute, man. You been all right?
It's been a minute, man. Life been good, man. Beautiful day in the neighborhood.
You look good, man.
I appreciate the same.
Look, he got me all on this dress. This man came with a suit on.
Hey, man, you got to go ahead and represent. You know, one of my friends, man, I was in the military with one of my brothers. He say, every time I see you on TV, you need to represent. And I always have a dab of red. What this red means is, it's ordnance, IOUs. If you are military, you know what that means. But I always got to represent where I came from. So
Right.
I had to come with a suit on, trying to be real nice.
Where are you from, man?
Born and raised Memphis, Tennessee.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, grew up in the Whitehaven, South Memphis, and I bounced around throughout the city a little bit growing up. And finally ended up out there in East Memphis, went to Ridgeway.
Right.
Yeah.
Best school in the nation, man. We had some fun, man. Some good times at Ridgeway.
Roll runners.
I'm telling you, man. Let me ask you this. So we're gonna dive right into it.
Okay.
So at 10 years old, right? You got bullied.
Yeah.
Okay. And this person went as far as to, you know, douse you with gasoline.
Correct.
And set you on fire.
Correct.
Can you walk me through that, man? How you know? First of all, when we talk about bullying, you know, everybody seen some level of bullying. You know, we used to check at Ridgeway. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But for something like that to happen to you, and when we talk about bullying, what level of bullying was you being bullied prior to that happening?
Well, you know, I grew up. You know, I'm an 80s baby, so I grew up in a time where it was a little bit different. You know, they used to tell us, "Hey, man, somebody bullied you, man. It's just making you stronger. It's gonna make you stronger. You know, shut up, take it." You
Right.
know? And you know, and it got to the point where like we moved into the Lake Point. They recently finna condemn that place over there, Winchester in Tullahoma. I went to Oak Haven at the time, and this young man used to, started off with check-in, and then it led to him hitting on me and pushing on me, and I was seeing violence in my household. I seen violence in my neighborhood. I was never a fight back type of person.
Right.
I just wanted to be happy, and it kept up to the point where like pushed me off the bike when I was riding, things of that nature, and then one day I got tired of it. It was my 4th grade year, and that led up to us. We used to hang out. If you know Winchester and Tullahoma, right behind, there's a McDonald's that sit right there on that corner. Right behind, it's a set of woods. right there, right? And in front of that is a lake, now known as Medal of Honor Park, which is ironic. But we ended up getting into a fight, and I ended up beating him up that day. He was 2 years older than me. I just got tired of it and fought back. And
Wow.
you know, it was like I tried to, you know, like as kids, you know, things happen and you move on from it. You know, he didn't bully me no more, but he still hung around us. You know, he stayed adjacent to us, right across the way. And but what he ended up doing was he went and broke into the maintenance shed of the apartments that we stayed in. Over there at Lake Point, there was a pool, and right below it, it was where they stored the lawnmowers, the weed eaters, and things of that nature.
A utility room, something like that?
Utility room.
Okay.
And what he ended up doing was he stole a can of gasoline that was mixed with oil, and he put it into our hangout, which was across the lake in those woods right behind the McDonald's. And one day, after my last day of school, it was a week or two later after my last day of school, we went fishing. We always used to go fishing out there. And me and my friend, we were sitting out there fishing, and the rest of the people were in the woods. And he had called us into the woods, and I was talking to my friend, and we was walking on back in there, and we came over there near where he was at, and I had my back turned to him because he was kind of in like a little ditch area, and we was kind of standing above. And at the time, when I was talking to my friend, he had already poured that gasoline into a Cool Whip bowl, and he called my name. I didn't turn around because I was finishing the conversation with with another young man. And the next thing you know, then he called my name again, and that's when I turned around. When I turned around, he grabbed it, picked it, and threw it on me. I turned to the right, so the right side of my body is heavily scarred. Over 50% of my body is burned, third degree, second degree, first degree. But I took off running. I ended up swallowing some of the gasoline, so I damaged my lungs and my throat. But I took off running. I laid on the ground, and I was rolling on the ground, and that's when my brother them, they came in and helped me put me out. Like still to this day, I still have little sticks and twigs that I pulled that are working their way out of my body from that day. That's been embedded in my skin for decades now. But
Wow.
Yeah.
So you said gasoline and oil. Did he light it, or does it burn as soon as it hit your skin?
No, he had, so when I was talking to my friend, that's when they said he struck a match, threw it in a bowl, and lit it. Yeah, so when he called my name again, that's when I turned around and he scooped it and threw it.
God damn, man.
Yeah.
So you was 10, he was 12,
12,
right?
Yes.
What happened to him after that?
So what ended up happening, I get a message a couple of years ago, and from one of the young men that was there, and he told me, it was like this haunted him his whole life. So what ended up happening was, I ended up from after being burned, I walked maybe half a mile from where it happened to the house. Mm-hmm. By the time I made it to the house, it's crazy that your mother's intuition is something serious.
Right.
Because, back then we didn't have cell phones or internet or nothing like that. But when I was walking up the steps, my mother was running, crying. I seen her crying coming out because we stayed on the second floor, and she already knew something was wrong. And after that, it went blank. It went blank. From what they were telling me, my mother was trying to put hands on the young man. She was trying to.
Right. Hell yeah, man.
Trying to hurt the boy. But,
you see your kid coming down there like that, man. I'll probably still be in jail.
Yeah, it was because my mother started breaking. When I went upstairs into the house, I remember my mother yelling, "Turn every mirror, shut the bathroom, close them, don't let him see himself." And that's when I kind of figured it was bad. I didn't, you know, I was looking down, and I still had that scent in my nose to this day. But when I was looking down, I was just seeing white and tissue, and you know, it was, my skin was falling off.
Can you describe the pain?
Oh, whew. So after I woke up, it was weeks later. I was in a different state, right? So I was in a different state. I was in Galveston, Texas, at the Shriners Burn Hospital, and my doctor told me one day that I went through more pain in one day than most people will go through in 3 lifetimes. You know, you got to think about it, like, say you put your hand on the stove, and that burns. You know, like the slightest movement of that area hurts, and that was my whole situation.
And I just recently, man, not even realizing, taking something out the oven and grabbed the handle. I'm talking about tight too, and it's better now. But I had 2 red scars, so I'm just thinking about your whole, and the burning sensation just lingers and lingers.
Most definitely.
Oh man. So you in the hospital?
Yes.
You was I was reading where you died 3 times.
3 times. 3 times. Well, so when I swallowed the fire, that had damage to my lungs. You know, and like that happened here in Memphis. That part happened in Memphis. I don't remember much of it. You know, some of the things that I've spoken about already. I remember I woke up. I remember on the ambulance ride, right? I was looking down at myself. I really felt as if I was just looking down. I seen them cutting my clothes off. I seen them do all of that. That was talking to me, and you know. And I looked over and I seen my mother, and she's just distraught, crying, and then it went black. And then you know, I woke up again at some point, and I couldn't open my eyes. My body is swollen 3 times its size, right? And my mother was sitting next to me. She was crying, and she just asked me. She said, "Son, if you can hear me, just move something. Just move something for me." I said, "Okay." And that's when I started moving my toe. My big toe got wiggling around, and she was like, from that point forward, she knew that I was going to be okay.
Yeah.
She knew I was going to be okay. You know. No.
Oh man, your mother she's still with us?
Yeah, my mama's still. Yeah.
Okay.
Love you, mama.
I know that's right, man. Gotta shout out mom.
Yeah, love you, mama. I gotta tell you, you know, I love you, mama.
Who would you say was your strength throughout that process?
Mother.
Your
my
mom.
Mother. You know, as a child, I had to sit back and watch her, and I didn't understand a lot. But as an adult, only having the ability to understand, watching your child go through something like that, that much pain, and try to keep your composure, especially when I was around. So it was this time I was in the hospital, and this was in Galveston. I couldn't take a regular bath. I had to sit in the whirlpool, and in that whirlpool, I used to just watch my skin float like it was peeling off. And that was very painful, and just watching my mother just try to cheer me on, you know, that was a different level of strength that most people probably would never have to muster in their life. So I can't do anything but say my mother.
Right.
Say my mother. And that was this other time. I have this band on my arm where I can't lift my band where the skin had melted together. And there was this guy named Alex. I'll never forget him. Alex, thank you though. But they were trying to break it that day. So no anesthesia, no anything like that. Like he grabbed my arm and he told me, he was like, this is finna hurt. And he grabbed it and he started stretching it and my skin started popping.
This was a result of the burn?
Yeah. Okay. So it's a band like where a bunch of skin had kind of melted together, and it formed like this. It wouldn't allow me to lift my arm past this point.
Okay.
So now I can do this because of that. But
Right.
when he grabbed my arm, he started cranking back, and my mother was crying, and the guy Alex told my mother, he was like, look, you need to step outside, you need to wipe those tears, and when you come back in here, I need you to be strong for your son. And when she did that, she came back in and she wasn't crying. I couldn't cry now at this point.
Right.
I just had to sit back and endure it because I had to mirror my mother.
Right.
I had to mirror my mother. I had to show strength as well.
Yeah, man. We do. What about your father? What's he? That's a different story. Whole different story. Okay. I got you.
Whole different story. Whole different story. Yeah.
But you was in the military, right?
Yes.
What branch?
Navy.
You was in the Navy. How long was you in the Navy?
I was in the Navy for 6 years.
6 years. Okay.
Yes.
So you already kind of developed that. Well, of course, this is way after the fact. Wow. I don't know why it's like it's that situation just seems like a lifetime of pain. So I can't put an age on it. But when I keep thinking, man, that man was number 10
years
and had to go through that.
Yeah.
When you finally was able to kind of be around people or be social or be just active, how old were you?
Oh man, it was a mind thing for a while. I couldn't go outside for years. So I kind of sat in my room. I kind of said to myself, I didn't really socialize, because my experience after I got out the hospital, when I went out in the public, people used to point, laugh, all that type of stuff. I used to have to wear these compression garments, a mask on my face with a compression garment over it, all over my body. It's like a thick stocking that helped keep down the scars. So I wasn't too social at all. I kind of just stuck to the people that I knew and knew my situation. I was somewhat afraid to branch out and speak to people for years.
Right.
For fear of judgment.
We went to school together. Now, when I first got there, I seen you, man, and for some, I didn't look at you twice. Like I did for some reason. You was normal.
Right.
Of course, and I've seen all types. So maybe I'm just different. But at the same time, I seen. Of course, I didn't have too many conversations with you, but you seemed like you was at a better place.
It took years. It took years to get to that point. At some point, I just said, forget it. Acceptance is hard.
Right, real hard.
From living and being a normal, person, not thinking about anything, to now I'm conscious of everything. I couldn't be out in the sun. I couldn't play football. I couldn't play baseball, and I kind of got down, depression kicked in. And one thing that I've learned in life is a lot of people fight what they are. They fight against it, and that's what holds people back from moving forward. It's themselves. Right. They fight against life, and ultimately, if you do that, that's when you lose.
Right.
So I had to learn. I had to accept what I've had, what has been presented, the cards that was in front of me, and now I have to move forward.
All right, I'm gonna ask you a question, man. Okay. With this guy the guy that did, of course, y'all 10 years old, your minds ain't developed. He did it with bullying,
Yeah.
But how long did it take you to? Well, let me ask you first. Did you forgive him?
Yeah, for doing that? I did. It took years though. So the story goes, after I got out the military, well, I'm gonna tell you this, my job in the military, I started off on, I was the aviation. If you ever seen a Navy commercial, if you see those guys that wear yellow shirts on the flight deck, I chose that because I had to conquer my fear of fire.
Right.
I had to get past that. I wanted to work around it to get comfortable with it.
Okay.
So, and then I got bored with that, and then I went into weapons. When I went into weapons, I started building missiles, bombs, torpedoes. I was a small arms weapons instructor. And I've seen my share of violence, right? So I did several deployments, and when I got out, I decided to go to school. I'm like, I'm gonna go to school. So right over here. I'm good with my hands. I've never been a book person. You know, I need to see it, and then it's easier for me to get and move on. But
Right.
went to Tennessee Tech, and when I went to Tennessee Tech, the first day of school, I went to school for welding. I was sitting in the classroom. Teacher told us to go upstairs, go and sit in this classroom. So we went up there, everybody was talking and so forth. I sat in the far back right corner of the room. And the teacher was like, stand up, tell us a little bit about yourself. I said, okay. So about the third person in, this guy stood up and he walked up and he started talking. I was like, I know this guy from somewhere. Where do I know him? I seen the face I know. Then it dawned on me. Oh wow. So
In the military?
no, this is back in Memphis. This is.
Oh, you was in college?
I was at Tennessee Tech,
Okay.
and the third guy stepped up, told him about himself. Teeth were missing, like skinny, frail.
You recognize him?
Looked unhealthy, but I knew his face. Face I'll never forget. It was that young man that set me on fire that day.
Right.
So now I'm angry. So I stood up, I skipped the line. I went and stood in front of the class and I went through my military training record, everything that I done. Every weapon, anything from a 9mm to 50 cal, grenade launchers, C4. I was
Right.
you know what I'm saying? I went through I was good at it.
Right.
And I looked at him. I was looking at him the whole time. I did not break eye contact with him. So, you know, at that point, it was like the room got uncomfortable. So the teacher told us, like, hey, let's go take a break real quick. So they told everybody to go take a break. He said, be back in 15 minutes. And the teacher was like, hey, son, come here. He was like, what's wrong? I said, nothing.
So you stood up and you stared. Did you say something?
I just went through my whole training, just looking at him.
So your whole training is going through your mind, is what you're saying?
No, I went through my training jacket. So in the military, you got to go through certain things for you to be able to. So for you to go, okay. So for you to know the inside workings of a torpedo, you have to take classes. You have to do tests. You have to take all this. They send you specific schools and specific stuff like that for you to be able to work on that, because you got 5,000 people at your hands. And like if anything was to go wrong, that's 5,000 people that could perish. You know, we have sidewinders, we got JDAMs, we have all type of warheads, we got all type of explosive, and we're 14 stories below sea level. We are in the water. Like they used to tell us, if the blast don't get you, you got 6 seconds to make it from the bottom of the boat to the top of the boat, climbing the ladder, or you're gonna drown. That type of. So we had that type of training, and like small arms, like we had to read books and take tests about from 9mm, 240 Golfs, M60s, Mark 19s, you know, things of that nature. We had to go take tests for all that, and I just went through it just looking at it. And you know, at the time I was, you know, when last time he had seen me, I was maybe 115 pounds. Now I'm 6 foot, 290 pounds. Lifting weights 6-7 days a week, 3 hours a day, you know, type. I'm, you know, still unhealed, but, you know, got a little chip on the shoulder. Yeah. So, you know, and then they taught me a few things. So when I have the ability to hurt this young man.
Yeah.
But I had to look at it as, well, I'm gonna tell you this, it went wrong. It did go bad for a second. So after the teacher asked me, like, what's wrong? I said, nothing, I'm just trying to leave. I was like, is that it? Like, don't do nothing stupid. I went looking through the school. I went through the school looking for him. And I found him near the cafeteria. And when I walked up to him, I said, you know who I am? He was like, nah, man, nah. Now, mind you, it looked like he's on drugs. It looked like he's good dope.
Right. Did you believe him when he said no?
No.
Okay.
I
Yeah.
seen it in his eyes.
Right. Yeah. He bullshit.
Yeah. When you see it, I know the look of fear because I seen it in my eyes for so many years. I knew what fear looked like.
Right.
And so the man was like, nah. And then I pulled my shirt back and I showed him the scars on my arm. I said, you know who I am, right? And he was like, oh man, you did that to yourself. You did that to yourself. You did that to yourself. And I was just, and you know about it, because about that time, there was a group of people that came around, you know, so now ego is engaged.
You did that to yourself? That's what he's saying. So he recognized you at this point.
Yeah, he recognized me at first.
At first, right.
So now you got to think of something. You got to think of something trying to take yourself out of that situation. Like I said, you got a 290-pound angry looking dude that went through all this looking at you in your face. Your lifestyle can flash in front of you.
Right. Right.
You know what I'm saying? That mad at me? So now you're trying to get out of the situation, but then when people come around, that's how detrimental ego is. Yeah. Your ego can be so detrimental to you that you say something that can get you hurt.
That can get you hurt or possibly killed.
Yeah. So I ended up leaving. I was walking towards the door, and like people were just standing there. And when I turned around, I looked back, it was like people just kind of got away from me. I went to the car, grabbed a couple of things that were just for him.
Right.
Grabbed a couple weapons.
You were ready.
Man, look.
A couple weapons. Huh?
I carry every day. I believe in self-protection, most definitely. Never on offense, strictly defense.
Right.
But that day, I was breaking rules.
Right.
You know, and I was walking. I went to the car, I grabbed it, and I had a Chrysler Concorde, had a big trunk, so I had all types of stuff back there. I don't do that anymore.
Sure you don't.
I don't do that anymore. Yeah. But
Mike came in like James Bond today. I'm gonna stash this over in the corner. You don't mind, do you? No, man. No, don't mind.
Hey, never leave home without it.
I'll tell you.
Yeah. So I was, you know, as I was transitioning back to the classroom, I was walking back to the area. I had all type of stuff on me, and you know, I was walking. It was just like a gust of wind just stopped me, hit me in my chest, and it made me think. I wasn't thinking at the time.
Right.
I just saw red. Since the time.
Right.
Just saw red, and it gave me enough time to cool off. I just turned around, walked back to my car, and drove off.
What did you think? What thought came in your mind at that moment? What made you turn around?
Something told me stop. No. No. This ain't it. You know, because in my time in the military, I was able to touch every continent on this planet except for Antarctica. I've seen so many different cultures. I've played in the deserts. I done fought in deserts. I done, ran through the streets of downtown Hong Kong partying, Tokyo partying,
everything.
Dubai, just like Dubai actually changed me, I believe, because seeing people of our skin, our complexion, living like that, living like that. I mean, it's insane. I was there probably 04, 05, and just seeing the level, walking through the gold soup, seeing all this, and we are in control of it.
That's one of the places that I always wanted to go to, and I will. Go to Dubai.
Man, most definitely go. It's one of the most beautiful. Guam, most beautiful place on this planet one of the most beautiful places. All through that Micronesian islands. Some of the most beautiful places that you ever, these little smaller islands. Yeah, and you don't even need a a passport to go to Guam. It's a part of the United States. It's a minor outlying island, but it's a 16-hour flight, but absolutely gorgeous.
Oh, man. 16 hours. This is hard for me to ride 8 hours in the car.
I know, right?
Goodness
It's
gracious.
45 minutes. I don't even like sitting in traffic.
Yeah.
But hey, you know, it's okay.
But it's worth the trip.
It's worth the trip.
warm. Okay.
You know what I'm saying? So, you know, it's like that changed me. You know, that changed my mentality. That changed my thought process. And I'm looking at him. I don't think it looked like just good dope. His teeth rotten, falling out.
Yeah. Right.
At this point, it's pity.
Yeah. You in a way more advanced state mentally than he is. It's like both of y'all lives. You would look at what happened and think, man, this the road he gonna have to go down. Like you know, you're gonna have to go through this your whole life, and you may not even make it through.
Right.
But you did, and you came out on top, and you traveled the world. As opposed to him, he probably ain't never been out his neighborhood.
3rd Street, 4th,
drugs.
yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And sometimes I don't really like to use the word karma. But I think the universe always has a way of showing you who you are.
You get what you give.
Right.
Yeah, you
right.
get what you give. 100%.
Yeah.
You get what you give. Most definitely.
What do you think, if that wouldn't have happened, what do you think, do you ever think of how your life would have turned out had that not happened?
It's I don't know. I never really
Never thought about that?
You know, I don't think I would have gained the amount of focus that was needed.
Right.
To actually get past myself. You know, if I would have just lived a normal life, maybe I would have got stuck in the mundane every day, or the same day in and out type deal. You know, but one thing that did change me was you know, you asked me about my father. I never had a male a father figure in my life, but I had strategic men that came into my life and said certain things that pushed me in a certain way. So, you know, I might not have had that, you know, because I don't know if they looked at me with pity or looked at me in some type of way, but I'm thankful for them teaching me and pushing me that way. If I wouldn't have, you know, got burned or anything like that, I don't know if I would have ran into those guys or met those guys.
Right.
So
yeah. I remember we was in high school, man. I got to bring this up.
oh Lord. Man.
So we get we at the front of the school, man, and you know, we still talk every now and then, man. Jonathan Ruzon. Jonathan Ruzon, cool. So Jonathan Ruzon, if you watching this, you salute to you, my guy. But we call him Genuine. So he had the curl, you know what I'm saying? Girls liked him and all that. So we didn't know what was going on. Jonathan Ruzon came up, y'all made eye contact, and Jonathan Ruzon said, "Man, what's up?" He said, "Man, what's up?" And these folks took off from the school down to the Little Caesars down the street and got to rolling. And I remember you took your belt off. Wrapped it. And while you talking about weapons, I'm like, okay, I see. He probably always had this type of like mindset, because I ain't never seen nobody take their belt off and wrap it around their hand, man.
Yeah.
In high school, you was. This is why I say this. You seemed guarded. You seemed very defensive. You seemed that way. Not, of course, we didn't have dialogue, but I feel like you had to kind of be a certain way so that people wouldn't, you know, fuck with you. Yeah. Am I accurate with that?
Yeah. Leave me alone.
Yeah.
I didn't. You know what I'm saying? You know, and from the age of 10 to 14, I've experienced more life than most people experience in 2-3 of them.
Right.
You know, I'm at the point where I just want to be left alone.
Yeah.
Leave me alone. If you come, and you know, I'm somewhat like that today. It just, I just cut you off and move on. You know, if anybody bringing any type of negativity or anything like that towards me in my life, you know, we'll talk, I'll laugh with you for that last one time, shake my head and bow out. You know, there's no need for me to have you there. You know, people are strategically placed into your life. What a lot of people don't understand, like we try to hold on to everybody, and that's where a lot of the downfall comes from and the problems that you go through in your life. trying to hold on people who are not supposed to be there. You can't hang with chickens and expect to soar with eagles.
There you go.
At all.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So when you get around certain people and you see how they treat someone or they treat the next person, I don't give you the opportunity to do that to me.
Right.
I'll leave it. I don't care if it's a homeless person on the street. If you talk to them dirty or you're acting angry, mean to them for no apparent reason, I'm leaving you. No, you will not be a part of my life.
Right.
So when I see things, I'm a very observant person. I kind of stand back. Some people would say that's guarded, yeah, but if you were to walk a day in my shoes, you'll understand.
Man, you gotta be, and your scars actually show. Now you got people that got scars that you can't see them, and I always say like, if you feel like you testing me, and it's maybe it's just in your heart to do it, and I haven't done anything to you. In my mind, I always reflect about the things that I go through, I've gone through in life, and be like, man, you just don't know what I've been through.
Correct.
Bro, you really think you finna play with me?
Correct.
And you, on the other hand, it's like, I can see your scars. So it's like, why would I play with you?
Yeah.
You've been through hell and back, literally.
Walk through it.
It wouldn't be because I'm afraid of you, but I am in a way because you're liable to do anything to me. You done been through it all. You're not gonna let nobody do that to you. You know what I'm saying?
Nobody.
Have you been tested in that way since that happened?
Yeah.
To where you play with me again, I'm gonna kill you.
Yeah. Oh yeah, babe. People are always. I think some people look at me as an easy target. Right?
Really?
100%. I remember one day I was working at a cable company when I came back and from the military. I was working there, and one of my homeboys, they was sitting over there. They was talking. Dude got to talk. This one guy used to just do the most, and I remember he stole. We was in Slidell, Louisiana. These guys were from Texas. Most of them were felons and tough guys.
Right.
This particular this particular man, he had teardrops going down his eye, and I remember he had stole one of the guys' tools that came down with us. Every morning we used to have a meeting, and the guys was, the Texas guys was talking all this, so rah.
Yeah, tough guy talk.
Tough guy talk.
Yeah.
So I asked the manager, hey, can you step outside for a second? We need to have a conversation. And we went outside, locked the door. Now y'all can't leave. Now somebody need to bring these tools, or we're gonna have.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And then the guy that was with all that, with the teardrop on his eyes and all that, a few things got pulled out, and next thing you know, some phone calls was made and the tools showed up. And then shook hands, laughed.
Right.
Carried on about our way. I didn't have guys. Random guy tried to rob me out here, and it didn't end. We told him to shoot.
Yeah. If you're gonna do it, just gonna do it.
Go ahead, do it. I lived in Virginia. That's a whole nother life.
What part of Virginia you was in?
Virginia, Norfolk, Newport News, and VA Beach.
Okay.
So this young man that did something very disrespectful in my bed with the young lady, and I ended up going to the house. I laid in that bed, and then I was like, man, this smell was off. I took shit.
Like a roommate or?
Nah, he was cool with us.
Okay.
Cool with the group, and then somebody came and told me, like, yeah, he ain't say nothing. I was like, nah, he did. He took care of business with old girl. I was like, oh. So now I'm angry about that, and word got back to him, and when word got back to him, ego kicked in. Now, mind you, I trained this young man on weapons with guns. I know you can't shoot.
Right.
I know this. So I actually fixed his gun and cleaned it for him at one point. And came down to it. He was like, yeah, when I see him, I'm a whoop him. And, I was so one day, me and my friend, we got in the car, drove to the store. We all stayed in the same apartment area, or whatever.
Right.
And went to the store, and I seen him, and he was sitting over there with his group. He had a Chevy car club. There was a bunch of dudes, and, and they all standing there talking crazy, screaming in front of girls or whatever. I pulled into the little store. I sat on the hood of the car. I went into the store, got some chips, came back, sat in the car, eating my chips, looking at them, pointing at them, laughing. My homeboy came over.
You trolling them?
Yeah, my homeboy came over. He got his stuff out. We got back in the car. We drove back around. Cuddy, Rails. If y'all can vouch for this story, y'all, you know what I'm saying. But we pull up back to our house in Virginia. Most of the time, you got to park on the street. And the young man, about maybe 5 minutes later, he came down with this guy named Bama. I ain't even gonna say your name, because he added me on Facebook a couple of years back. He ain't never said nothing, but he added me on, so it's in the past. I ain't gonna say your name, but
okay.
He hopped out the car and he was like, "Yeah, what's up?" And I said, "What's up?" I'm sitting on the trunk. I was smoking a cigarette, and he was like, "Yeah, what's up?" I was like, what you doing? Like, what's up? And he was like, "Yeah, man, I told you, I thought you said you were gonna break my jaw when you seen me." You know what I'm saying? And he just kind of stood there for a second. He paced around, and then he turned around. He went into the car. He grabbed the gun. And when I seen him lift his shirt up and tuck his gun in his pants, I was like,
evil laugh.
I already knew what it was. You know what I'm saying? So
yeah.
He came out. That's when I hopped off my car, and I stood there and I was looking at him like, "What's up?" And he pulled his gun out and I told him to shoot. I'm putting all this spit in my mouth. I'm talking. Noah's all on his face.
Right.
And you know what I'm saying? I told him to shoot, and his friend ended up coming with like, "Hey, nah, it ain't worth it. It ain't worth it. Let's just go ahead." I was like, "Yeah." I popped my trunk. I had my drum band in there, but it kind of ended peacefully, but nobody got hurt. So
yeah.
But they learned, leave me alone. Just leave me. Just won't be left alone.
Right.
Yeah, most definitely.
Yeah, man. Can't think it's just gonna be okay. All right, sir. I submit. I ain't gonna do nothing. Oh man.
Nah, I just laugh now. If somebody coming to me or try something, I just kind of laugh and walk off now.
Yeah.
I just leave them where they at. That's the best thing to do.
Right. There's hold on. It's something you wrote in your book. And we're gonna get to that too, man. You got a book. You're an author.
Yes.
Basically. So this is what's the name of your book?
The Scars We Carry.
The Scars We Carry. There's something it may be in that phone, but I wanted to ask you about this.
Okay. It took me a long time to write. Long time.
A long time to write?
Yeah. I didn't know what direction I wanted to go into with it. I wanted to tell my story, but so the basis of the book basically is a self-help book.
Right.
It's a motivational book, but it uses the stories of what I endured in my life and the lessons that I took from it and how I applied it moving forward in my life.
Right.
So I sent out a couple of people the first chapter of my book, like I sent you.
Yeah.
I think I sent you the first and the fourth, if I'm not mistaken. I'm slowly getting them back from the editor, but from the response, people have been telling me they have taken what I was saying in that book, the way it was written, and they applied it to their situation in life, and a lot of people.
Yeah, I think this one was chapter 1.
Okay.
You said at school I became a master of invisibility. I knew how to fade into the background, how to avoid questions, how to change clothes without anyone noticing. I wore long sleeves even in the summer, and I kept my head down. If I could make it through the day without someone staring too long or asking what happened, I counted it as a win. But deep down, I wanted more than invisibility. I wanted to be seen, not for my scars, but for who I was. Okay. I wanted somebody to look past the damage and find that kid that was still fighting underneath it all. You wanted more than invisibility. You wanted to be seen. Who do you think that you can remember when you first got out into the public, when you finally started getting around people? Who was that? Who was those token people that helped you make you feel like you was, you still us, you still normal?
So there was a friend that was there before I got burned. His name was Josh. Josh.
Is it Ridgeway?
Nah, this was they stayed in the same apartments as us. They stayed above the young man. Abigail, Josh, and Abraham. Those were their family were very religious. Their family was very religious, so that's why they got those names. But
right,
he used to, and there was another guy named James who still talk to this day. Cool guy. Followed the steps behind me going into the military. But those were the guys that helped me feel normal. I have a sense of normalcy. That's where it started. Those were the first group of guys that and family that were outside of my family that tried to make me feel as if I was normal.
Okay. And as far as your family, do you have a big family?
It was small. It's pretty small.
Pretty small.
It's not too many of them. Yeah.
So you really had a hard time, like looking to for family because I have a real small lit family too, and it's hard to when you're dealing with stuff throughout your life, if you ain't got no friends and you ain't got no family, who do you really go to?
That's I kind of stuck to myself. When it came down to it, I went into myself, and that was one of the hardest things because I got in my own head. And
that could be a bad thing or a good thing.
Most definitely.
Going through that. But this is my thing though, bro. Like, I'm trying to put myself in your shoes. When you that young and you got your mom, when nobody's around, what are you telling yourself so that you can get to another day? Because I'm pretty sure you ran into moments where you were like, man, I'm done with this.
Most definitely. Comic books.
Comic books.
So
I was a comic book. Yeah. Okay.
So there's always this situation that happens. Something terrible happened to that person. Something happens that was a catalyst that pushed them into the life that they are, and that gave them their superpowers. That it ignited something in them. That gene, that mutant gene, that gene in them, that gave them these special abilities. And pain. I was able to take pain like it was nothing and keep going. So I looked at that as I gained a power.
Right.
And that's how I was able to move forward, following behind the Marvel characters and DCs and so forth. And now I ran into this comic book, V for Vendetta. Man, I went through a similar situation.
What's the name again?
V for Vendetta.
Viva Vendetta.
V for Vendetta. If I'm telling you guys, you need to watch this movie. It's a movie. It came out about 2005. This is one of the first comic book movies. And when I tell you the message that was sent behind that movie, you get past the theatrics of it and actually look at the message that they're trying to put out there. It is a powerful movie.
Yeah, I noticed it's a lot of subliminal, like really like a lot of messages in superhero movies.
Most definitely.
I actually started studying because I was a comic book. I was in the Marvel comics and Wolverine and all that when I was young. But I see the messages they put in, like they really kind of almost describe astronomy and how the universe works, and your powers, your chakras, and stuff like that. And so, Viva who?
V for Vendetta.
V for Vendetta. That he had is a he, right?
Yeah. You ever seen the Guy Fawkes mask? The mask where it's a white mask with the smiley face and the mustache. It's basically the story behind that.
Okay.
Yeah, remember the 5th of November, the gunpowder, treason, and plot.
Right.
So there's is basically something happened to. I ain't gonna put it all the way out there like that, because I want you to watch it. But come back to this video, put up under the comments if you watch it, and tell me what you think. Or tell them what you think.
Right.
And something happened. It was an explosion, and he was heavily burned. He lost his eyes. He lost everything. You never seen his face the whole movie. You just see his hands. You see some scars on his hands. But he gained some powers, and he went back and fought the government. Basically, the government was causing a lot of problems,
Right.
surveillance and things of that nature. They was controlling, very controlling, and yeah, he basically got his revenge back for everything that they did to people.
Oh yeah. Okay. I want to watch that. I love revenge movies.
Oh yeah, it's most definitely. It also has accents to this movie. One of my favorite movies is The Count of Monte Cristo. There was another. It's two of them really. It's a real old black and white one, but also it has one where the guy who played Jesus in the
Passion of Christ.
Passion of Christ.
Oh, okay.
He is the main character in there, in that movie. And when I tell you, top tier movie, best revenge movie outside of V for Vendetta I ever seen.
And what's the name of that one?
The Count of Monte Cristo.
The Count of Monte Cristo. Okay. I'm gonna have to go back and play that back. Okay.
Count of Monte Cristo.
Yeah, man, you put me on something because I want to certain things or certain movies I haven't tapped into, but that's like those are the type of movies I love to see. Yeah.
Well, see, when I was on deployment, we had a lot of time where it was either playing cards or watch a movie. So
You got a lot
there's only so many cards you can play.
Right.
Talking, but yeah.
There's another. There's something else I want to read from your book, and I want to ask you about this. You said, I remember one night, maybe a year after the incident or the accident, I stood in front of the mirror alone in my room. I had just taken off pressure garments I had to wear to help with the healing. My skin looked like a patchwork quilt, different shades, different textures, raised lines where there should have been smoothness, red where there should have been brown. And all I could think was, who would ever want to be around this?
Most definitely.
That was the beginning of what I call the mirror lie. Explain that, the mirror lie.
So when I stood in front of that camera, in front of that mirror that day, I still had staples, stitches, the view of yourself. I didn't even like me, so how could somebody else like me? I hated that. I hated that existence. That I hated that I survived that at that point in time. I didn't want to be here. From just a normal kid with smooth skin and no problems to now I basically Frankenstein.
Yeah.
And reading those and I remember when I first woke up from it. All right, there was balloons around. So I was they sent, and some of them were on the back of a helium balloon with a little character. I think it was Winnie the Pooh. On the back of it, it had a shiny surface on that. So I was able to look at a reflection. And I asked my mother, I said, can I see a mirror? I want to see a mirror. And she was like, no. I can't see a mirror. She was like, no. So I seen it, and I reached over, I grabbed it, and I turned it. And I turned that balloon, and I looked at it, and I said, I'm a monster. And I cried. That was a bad day.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was a bad day.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was a bad day.